Why is it becoming so difficult for university students to find jobs? Recently, many of you have asked me this question, and today, we're going to take a closer look at it. First of all, I want to say that behind this situation lie three harsh truths. So, what are those three truths? Let's begin today's podcast episode. Welcome to Unsaid Truths, where we talk about the realities society doesn't want you to see. Today, in Vietnam as well as around the world, we are witnessing many contradictions. While the number of university graduates continues to increase, job opportunities are becoming increasingly limited. This has led to a situation where many students graduate only to find themselves unemployed. Below are the three main reasons behind this reality. The first reason is the rapidly growing number of graduates, while the economy is slowing down. Universities have expanded enrollment, leading to more and more students graduating, at a time when economic difficulties are making jobs increasingly scarce. You can see this very clearly within the communities where we live. Across generations, from those born in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, to those born after 2000, the number of people attending university and graduating with a degree in search of employment has increased significantly. For the 1970s generation, only a few students in an entire cohort went to university. By the 1980s generation, about half pursued higher education, while the other half entered the workforce right after high school. By the 1990s generation, very few people did not attend university. And for those born after 2000, it is now almost impossible to find someone who did not go to university. That is why the first and most obvious reason is the overwhelming number of university graduates. Universities also need to remember that they are not vocational schools. Universities provide foundational knowledge, allowing students to further develop their professional skills on their own. Therefore, graduating from university should not be seen as a sufficient condition for getting a job. It is only a necessary condition. And once you step into the labor market, the real competition truly begins. In Vietnam, the number of university graduates each year has reached a very large figure. However, job opportunities are not sufficient to meet this demand, leading to a steadily rising unemployment rate among graduates. In the past, getting into university was extremely difficult, and only a small percentage of students had access to higher education. But with the expansion of the education system, university admission rates have increased significantly, resulting in a surplus of graduates. Combined with economic downturns and job scarcity, this has created a real crisis. The second reason is the imbalance in how social resources are allocated. Many professions that society genuinely needs fail to attract newly graduated students. For example, while factories require a large workforce and offer relatively high income, many young people are unwilling to work in these environments. Many still believe that office jobs or positions in large corporations are more desirable, while factory work is seen as lacking status and falling short of expectations. In addition, long working hours and demanding labor conditions also discourage many young people from choosing this path. In Japan and in many Western countries, primary education focuses heavily on developing each child's skills and talents, helping society accurately identify individual abilities from an early age. In Japan, many primary schools operate for only half a day, while the remaining time is dedicated to sports and extracurricular activities such as singing, drawing, and the arts. Later, when students move on to secondary education, they are guided into educational pathways that match their abilities. A clear example of this is Japan's highly developed school football system. Most schools, from elementary to middle and high school, have football teams. Children who are passionate about sports are identified and nurtured early on. At the middle and high school levels, students who follow academic pathways continue to study core subjects such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, literature, and foreign languages. As a result, future job opportunities are more evenly distributed. There is no situation where, in one year, everyone rushes to study finance and banking, only to graduate and see thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of applicants competing for the same banking positions. Nor does society swing wildly from one trend to another, such as marketing one year and e-commerce a few years later. Early educational orientation not only helps individuals develop their talents, but also shapes career paths for decades to come, thereby reducing long-term pressure on the labor market and society as a whole. The next reason is the rapid pace of social change and the growing mismatch between education and reality. One major issue today is that education and the labor market are gradually drifting apart. Some industries that were once considered hot, such as information technology, design, or architecture, were highly sought after in the past. However, by the time students graduate, these industries may have become saturated or are no longer growing as strongly as before. Meanwhile, emerging fields such as semiconductor technology or renewable energy are facing labor shortages. Yet no one can guarantee that these industries will not also become saturated in the coming years. The inability of universities to keep up with rapid changes in the labor market is a very serious problem. Much of what students learn during 4 years of university is often no longer relevant or useful when they enter the workforce. This leads to many graduates being unable to find jobs related to their field of study or being forced to start over from scratch with entirely new skills they were never taught. At this point, I do not have the ability or the vision to reshape the entire education system or redefine the professional landscape of society. That responsibility lies with policymakers at the macro level. It must also be acknowledged that every country has its own circumstances, development context, and conditions. Japanese society and Western societies have their own drawbacks, just as Vietnam has its own strengths. Despite facing many pressures, the Vietnamese government has also been making considerable efforts to support and create opportunities for capable graduates. Nevertheless, in each podcast episode, after raising the issue, Unsaid Truths will try to offer some personal-level perspectives and solutions. Please note that these are purely personal viewpoints, intended to be helpful on an individual level, not solutions for society as a whole. To escape the overcrowded race of submitting applications or throwing yourself into brutally competitive jobs, the very first thing you need to do is change your own mindset. Right now, I can't instantly change the way you think. Completely reshaping someone's perspective in just one podcast episode is extremely difficult. All I ask is that you listen, feel, and take away at least one piece of advice from this episode. That alone would already be a success. First, you need to let go of the idea that going to university automatically gives you a superior advantage in the job market. Remember the first reason I mentioned earlier? Graduating and holding a university degree is only a necessary condition, not a sufficient one. And the moment you leave the classroom, you immediately enter a competition with millions of other people on the path of finding work and earning money. So, to sum it up, a university degree is not a passport. It is simply a profile that shows what kind of knowledge you have been exposed to in society. If you want to earn money, you need to learn hard skills. Skills can be divided into 3 categories. Hard skills account for 40%, soft skills account for 40%, and tool skills make up the remaining 20%. To explain more clearly, hard skills are professional and technical skills that can be measured, evaluated, or formally trained. These are skills you acquire through school, training programs, or specific work experience. The defining feature of hard skills is that they can be quantified and tested, for example through exams or certifications. They are easily documented through diplomas, degrees, or certificates, and they are often the basic requirement for performing a specific job, such as video editing, car repair, accounting, or finance and banking. Soft skills, on the other hand, are personal and social abilities that help you work effectively in a group environment, handle situations, and communicate with others. They reflect how you behave and respond, rather than just what you know professionally. Soft skills are difficult to measure and are usually assessed through observation or feedback. They are closely tied to personality, attitude, and life experience, and they play a decisive role in long-term career growth and sustainable success. Examples include effective communication, teamwork and collaboration, time management, critical thinking and problem-solving, adaptability, stress tolerance, as well as leadership and people management skills. Finally, there are tool skills. These are skills that support your work, such as basic computer skills, foreign languages, or even driving. Tool skills are quite flexible. Depending on the profession, they can sometimes become hard skills. But if a skill is not the core expertise required for your job, then it remains a tool skill. For example, imagine you and another candidate are both applying for an executive assistant position. Suppose your professional skills, appearance, and overall competence are equal. The only difference is that the other candidate knows how to drive. Who do you think the employer will choose? You, and then hire an additional driver, or the other candidate and save one more position? For a long time, society has glorified soft skills, almost deifying them and treating them as the key to success, the ultimate trump card, the magical shield for a successful life. In doing so, it is forgotten that hard skills are the true foundation, the most critical factor that allows you to survive in society. Put simply, you need hard skills first. You need a real profession before you even talk about competing in life. Let me repeat this once more. University is not a vocational school. University teaches you foundational knowledge, general knowledge, and the methods of self-learning. What skills you choose to learn and how deeply you learn them is entirely up to you. So don't blame the university. If you say that you majored in e-commerce, but the university didn't teach you how to run ads, create content, or optimize keywords, then you need to understand this. The university taught you how the economy operates, how digital payments integrate into daily life, and how e-marketing has changed the world. That is the true value of a university education. If you want to be able to do the job, you must take responsibility for self-learning. Spend less time watching movies, playing games, or partying, and invest that time in building a set of hard skills. Put simply, learn a real trade. Today, there are countless skill training courses available online, many of them costing very little, or even completely free. After that, find a suitable part-time job so you can accumulate both experience and income at the same time. Learn to value your time. If you don't manage and use your time effectively starting now, there will come a day when you regret it and are forced to use your time in a far more painful way. When it comes to part-time work, I'm not against students working part-time, but you need to be calm and smart when choosing a job. The term part-time already reveals its true nature. If you are not under extreme financial pressure with no other options, take a step back and choose a part-time job that actually supports your long-term goals and career path. If you want to become an advertiser, a marketing specialist, or a banking professional, ask yourself this: what skills or experience can you really gain from waiting tables in a restaurant or serving coffee in a cafe? On the other hand, if you plan to open a shop, run a beverage business, or pursue a career in the F&B industry in the future, then I have no objection at all. In fact, I would even encourage you to explore it early. Starting from the most basic tasks, you can learn how a restaurant operates, how drinks are prepared, and how business owners manage revenue, expenses, and finances. The most important thing is that you must clearly define your goals and make a plan for your life. If you don't, you will only waste the precious years of your youth in exchange for modest wages and a few careless, short-lived pleasures. Once you have accumulated solid hard skills, it's time to start researching and planning your career. What you need to do at this stage is learn and ask questions. Expand your relationships, read more, and observe more. If you want to land a marketing job, read books about marketing. Connect with seniors who are already working in the field. Watch YouTube videos to understand how a marketing team actually operates. Learn more about platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, and Shopee, how they generate sales, and how they build content. Build a strong knowledge base and a solid professional network for yourself. In this society, if you don't have relationships, it's very hard to survive. Today's economy is an economy of connections. Without connections, you will face many disadvantages. People often say, "Don't look for a good company, look for a good boss." Direct guidance from one person to another is the fastest and most effective way to learn. Learn from skilled professionals, from the boss you once worked with at a part-time job, from seniors and mentors at school or in clubs, or from any expert in your industry that you have the chance to meet. Don't hesitate, don't be shy, and don't waste time on meaningless relationships. Nurture your mind through valuable meetings and meaningful conversations with people who can truly help you grow. At the moment, I'm also running a small business with more than 10 employees, and my hiring process is very simple. It comes down to 2 words: a test. I don't pay much attention to an applicant's major. What I care about is what they have actually created, whether it fits the job at hand, what their interests and passions are, and whether those align with the work we do. If those factors make sense, they take the test. The person who performs best on the test is the one most suited for the job. There's no need for excessive questioning, no need to judge majors or grades. Only real results matter. That's how I've built a high-quality team. Remember this, hard skills come first. If your hard skills are strong, you've already secured about 70% of your advantage. Don't rush into the countless superficial soft skill courses out there. When your hard skills aren't strong enough yet, focus on building a concrete profession so you can support yourself. With solid hard skills, you may not be rich right away, but you will never end up trapped with no way forward. Finally, society's resources are limited, and so are opportunities. Don't waste your time any longer. Build your dreams and your career. Prepare a strong personal profile. Whether you're a first-year student, a second-year student, about to graduate, or even someone who has already been working for a few years but still feels lost, don't worry too much. You only truly worry when you know deep down that you're not good enough yet. And remember this, you are the strictest and fairest recruiter of your own life. Don't be afraid. Be strong. Be proactive. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. If this content brought value to you, don't hesitate to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. In the future, there will be many more podcast episodes that can support you on your personal development journey. And now, goodbye, and see you next time.